Hi, my name is Marissa Osborne, and I am an occupational therapist in the USA PPOTD program, and this is my Change Project. I work in a public preschool program in Beverly, Massachusetts, primarily with special education students. I also work with high school students, although the majority of my caseload and my colleagues are within the preschool program. Over the past several years, as I've evaluated students and met their families, I have often heard concerns related to sleep. Parents are concerned about their children not getting enough sleep, about it impacting their behavior, their daily life, their ability to attend and focus, and its disruption to the family unit. As this became a little bit more prevalent and I started noticing it, I was then paying attention to our children within the preschool, and I noticed that many of our children are tired, and this is really impacting their ability to access curriculum and to reach their maximum potential within the classroom environment. And this is why this project matters to me. This is an outline of my presentation. And let's talk a little bit about my practice problem. So again, it revolves around sleep. Sleep is a public health concern as identified by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and sleep insufficiency is prevalent in 50% of children in America. Sleep insufficiency in children leads to higher risk of accidents, injuries, depression, self-harm, suicidal thoughts, and attempts. And sleep is really vital in prevention of childhood diseases. As we look at sleep through the lens of occupational therapy, sleep insufficiency results in decreased occupational performance, decreased engagement, decreased occupational participation, life imbalance, and overall decreased quality of life. My PICO question is as follows. In children who suffer from sleep insufficiency, does 1 month of behavioral intervention compared to the use of melatonin improve sleep? The population is children who suffer from sleep insufficiency. The intervention is behavioral intervention. The comparison is the use of melatonin. The outcome is improved sleep, and the identified time period is 1 month. I performed a systematic literature search using the USA database, Search USA, CINAHL, and PubMed. I used a variety of keywords, which are listed here on my slide, including some synonyms for those keywords to help to expand my search. I used only full-text articles published between 2011 and the present. I eliminated all of the duplicate articles, and then I eliminated those that did not meet my inclusion criteria, which was that articles must be written in English, they must be peer-reviewed, they must have a focus on my identified population, which again was children with sleep insufficiency. They must include my intervention, which is behavioral modification, or some term that is synonymous to behavioral modification, or articles that included my comparison, which was the use of melatonin. This is my PRISMA flowchart, which is an example or an illustration of the description of my systematic literature search that I completed. The systematic literature search and the use of my PRISMA flowchart guided me to find 7 articles that were either quantitative syntheses or meta-analysis. The evidence from these 7 articles really had a common theme, and that common theme was that the use of cognitive behavioral therapy for children with sleep disorders results in desirable outcomes. There really were no risk factors, harmful effects, or non-desirable effects that were found when using cognitive behavioral therapy in children with sleep disorders. So this is great news. It's really, in comparison to the use of melatonin, there is a difference. There were some risk factors identified when using melatonin, and those risk factors included seizures and also a lot of uncertainty around the recommended dosage for the use of melatonin in children. It was recommended within the evidence that cognitive behavioral therapy should be used for a minimum of 4 to 8 weeks to address sleep disorders in children, and that's why I identified the time period of my PICO question as 1 month. So overall, I think that, again, the evidence supports the use of cognitive behavioral therapy, and also the evidence suggested that, although the body of evidence is sufficient at this time, there's always room to increase that body of evidence and to perform further research, high quality research, including larger samples focused on children who suffer from sleep disorders. The strength of the evidence, it was consistent across all of the randomized controlled trials and systematic reviews that I reviewed, and therefore I gave the evidence a strength level sort A. I also felt that all of the evidence included recommendations that were based on quality of life and improvement of symptoms associated with sleep disorders. So now that I have all of this great information, I identified Kotter's 8-step change management model as a model to use to help to implement a shift in change, a shift in our practice within our preschool program. I would do so by developing and delivering a motivating in-service to my colleagues, explaining and stressing the importance of sleep in our students, helping them to also recognize and identify the sleep insufficiency in our students, and then empowering them to make a change and a difference in these students' lives by implementing cognitive behavioral therapy within their classrooms. I would suggest that the occupational therapists that I work with are the champions of change. I would label them as such because occupational therapists have a strong knowledge base that includes an understanding of cognitive behavioral therapy. And so the OTs could help to implement the change process initially and then help to model it for other people within the preschool. The vision for change would be to improve the sleep habits of our students within the preschool. I would communicate this vision throughout the preschool, throughout the district. I would showcase our results and really stress again the importance and how we can influence and make a meaningful impact on children's sleep habits and therefore allow them to perform better in the classroom. I would offer opportunities for feedback. We would have brainstorming sessions at monthly meetings to discuss, monthly staff meetings to discuss what's working, what isn't working, how are we integrating and implementing cognitive behavioral therapy into our daily practice and classrooms. I would celebrate our wins by reviewing data on a trimester basis with our colleagues and celebrating the success that we're having in the change. I would, again, encourage open communication and feedback throughout this process. And lastly, the goal would be for the OTs, again, to kind of initiate this change process, but ultimately roll it out to the entire preschool, encouraging teachers, paraprofessionals, other related service providers to utilize cognitive behavioral therapy within their classrooms to help to improve sleep in students. So the outcome that I would measure for the change project would be improved sleep. And in doing so, I would recruit families who are interested in trying to improve their children's sleep by providing literature on the importance of sleep in children, and then again recruit them to participate and get their permission to participate in our change project. I would provide them with a sleep journal. In this sleep journal, they would record their children's the number of hours their children sleep for a 1-week period each night. We would then provide the cognitive behavioral therapy in the school within the natural environment of the classroom and OT sessions for a 4-week period. Following that 4-week period, we would again ask parents to use a sleep journal to collect data on how their children are sleeping, how many hours they're sleeping. And this sleep journal is a tool that was used throughout the evidence consistently and reliably. The dependent outcome variable is improved sleep, and that is measured in time spent sleeping. So the time is a numeric and ratio variable. I would collect the data for each student, look at the number of hours they spend sleeping during that first week prior to intervention. I would ascertain the mean or the average. I would then do the same thing at week 6, so the week following the 4 weeks of intervention. I would then compare the two means using a paired t-test, and I would track and analyze all of the data using formulas in an Excel spreadsheet. Once I have all of this information and we've had success and we've accomplished change within our preschool, I want to disseminate this information and share the good news. I could do so informally at staff meetings monthly. I could also do so bi-monthly district-wide professional development days. I would request a meeting with the superintendent and other administrators, such as my building principal, to discuss the importance of sleep in our students. And how we can influence and make a change in their sleep patterns. I would also do so with CPAC, which is the Special Education Parent Advisory Council. This is a mixed audience of both faculty and parents whose goal is to improve our students' education. I would suggest a formal presentation to our school committee to discuss the importance of sleep in our students, and again, what we can do to make a change and make a difference in our children's sleep duration and sleep performance. And lastly, I would suggest formal presentations at both the Massachusetts OT Association and the American OT Association national conferences in either formal oral presentations or poster presentations. Massachusetts Partnerships for Youth is a group that provides continuing education to Massachusetts educators. Their mission is focused on wellness, and so I feel that my change project fits really nicely and aligns with their mission, so this may be another appropriate forum to deliver a presentation. Practice recommendations. Behavioral intervention improves childhood sleep disturbance and insufficiency. That is the great news. OTs are equipped to provide these cognitive behavioral strategies and should do so to improve sleep patterns in their pediatric clients. This is endorsed and supported by our OT practice guidelines that are published by AOTA, as sleep is an occupation. Cognitive behavioral strategies can also be incorporated throughout our day in our daily practice and among other multidisciplinary team members. The evidence supports these recommendations. In the future, I would consider a change project with maybe a different population, focusing possibly on adults. This is my summary, and this kind of sums up everything that we've just discussed. If you have any questions, I welcome you to email me at my USA email address. And these are my references. Thank you very much. I think so. I think. I'm trying to find it, and my stomach is upset. Oh, Jess, I'm sorry. Were you waiting for your lunch for me? I'm sorry. Were you waiting for your lunch for me?
No. I literally just finished writing my notes from this morning, so.
Okay.